How is my Vanguard portfolio, both my stocks and shares ISA and my private pension, doing as of November 2022? I've not checked it for at least a month, probably more. I'm literally about to log in, so we're going to log in and see how I'm getting on. So my current total portfolio value is £31,255, so just over 31k, and that's, as I mentioned, split between my pension and my ISA. As you can see, in a different location, I've recently moved to Australia, which is a bit mad, and I'm going to also talk through how my Vanguard portfolio is going to change going forward, and essentially the impacts on me moving to the other side of the world will have on my UK investments and specifically my ISA and my pension. But back to the portfolio first of all, and as I mentioned, my portfolio is at 31.2k. The last portfolio update I did was in August, and my portfolio there was pretty much bang on 29k. So since then, my portfolio has grown roughly 2k. About 1.3k of that is my own contributions, because I put in £650 per month, and the other 700 odd pound is gains from the stock market over that 2-month period. It's worth saying that at this point I've quite a decent 5-figure sum built up. Well over 4 years now I've been building this up. I started off with £100, and over time I've increased it. I'm now at £650 per month from £100 a month originally. Now I've got a decent amount built up of 31k, which is why when there are smaller movements in the market, maybe 1% a day, I can feel it more in my portfolio, and it grows or changes by a larger absolute amount. So as I mentioned, my portfolio is split between two accounts: my stocks and shares ISA, which I've had since about August 2018, and my private pension, or my SIPP, which I've had for about 6 months and opened up earlier on this year in 2022. My ISA makes up the large bulk of this at £27,945, which is nearly £28,000. And first of all, I'm going to click into this to show you what I've got invested and how my investments have happened over time. So no surprise if you've seen previous videos or follow me on literally any social media at any point over the last 3 years, but all of my money is in the FTSE Global All Cap. I've got whole videos and almost books dedicated to this, but I personally choose to have one global fund to keep my approach as simple, passive, hands-off and easy as possible, particularly if you're working a full-time job, trying to play sport, trying to have a social life, have fun with friends and family. Personally, for me anyway, I'm not interested in trying to pick stocks. Not only does picking stocks usually result in worse performance over the long term, but it also takes time, so I'd rather use one global fund, and that's why I use the FTSE Global All Cap. If I then click into it and scale back for the last 3 years, for example, you can see how over time I've literally been buying very consistently, and as my automatic monthly investment that goes into my stocks and shares ISA every single month, which I've increased over time from £100 to now £650, and I'll continue to do automatically every single month. If I go into my pension and my SIPP, which I opened up earlier on in the year, it's a much smaller amount, but still relatively decent at £3,309. Once again, all of that money is pretty much in the FTSE Global All Cap, bar 17 pence in cash. I have no idea why that's there, but essentially 100% of my money is once again invested in the FTSE Global All Cap. If I click into it, then you can see where I've been buying over time, and of course the history is much shorter, only about 6 months back to May, June 2022. But quite interestingly actually, when we looked at the 3-year chart in my stocks and shares ISA where I've been buying, the market had sort of almost gone up, but of course it was very choppy in the middle. With this graph now, you can see over a shorter time period how the market is much more volatile and is literally like a roller coaster, like people say. But when you start to zoom out and look over the long term, it looks more straight, and those sort of crashes and corrections and blips, they become almost irrelevant. The market's been very volatile, and I'm able to buy at a lot cheaper prices than when I started investing earlier. So that's sort of one benefit of the market crashing, which we obviously talked about before, is that you get a lower cost basis, so hopefully in the long term end up with more long-term gains. So that essentially is my Vanguard portfolio update. But one more thing I wanted to go through, which I thought would be interesting, would be to see how my total portfolio is performing year to date. So from January 2022 to now, whether I'm up or down. I did this a few months ago in August, and I think I was down about 0.5%. So let's see how we're doing now as of November. But this is genuinely the first time I've looked at this in a month, maybe even 2 months, and it looks like I'm down nearly 6% so far this year. Over my history of investing in this portfolio, I'm still up, but this year I'm down. You can see I've contributed over £14,000 and I've actually lost £1,500. Now on the surface, this looks bad, but it's important to realise it's just a normal part of investing. Obviously this year there's been a lot going on. COVID's sort of ending, but then there's been obviously the war in Ukraine, increase in inflation, in interest rates, a lot of government struggles in, across the world. So it's not really a surprise. But all of those things I mentioned, that has happened the last 100 years and it will continue to happen. So it's completely normal. The most important thing is to carry on investing and of course buy and hold for the long term, preferably automatically investing every month, which is what I do and I've done for a number of years and will continue to do going forward. Now that is it for the laptop. Now I wanted to go through me moving to Australia and what it essentially means to my Vanguard portfolio. So if you do follow me on YouTube and on other social media platforms, you probably have realised I've been pretty inactive over the last month, and that's because I've now been in Australia for 2 weeks. I moved from London to Melbourne through work for a work secondment. So I'm going to be here now for a few years working. It's been pretty good so far, but of course, one thing I mainly looked up and looked into was how it's going to impact my investing and my personal finances. So the first thing to say is I've not actually got to sell any of my investments. I can just keep them in my ISA and my pension. Because I've moved abroad, I've not got to like liquidate all that money and put it into the bank or move it to Australia. I can just leave them there. But there is some key impacts. On my Stocks and Shares ISA, you essentially cannot contribute to a Stocks and Shares ISA when you're not a resident. So this tax year, I'm still a part resident because I've been in the UK for 6 months. But from April 2023 onwards, I'm not going to be able to contribute anymore to my Stocks and Shares ISA. What does that mean? First of all, it's a bit annoying. I've had a good streak of, over 4 years contributing every single month to that. But it essentially means to me, I'm gonna try and contribute as much as possible as I can between now and then. And then from April 2023, I can no longer use that type of account, which is a shame because in the UK, particularly if you're young and want to retire early, it's probably the best account to use. It's flexible, you can withdraw it whenever you want. All the gains and dividends are tax-free. I'll try and maximize the £20,000 allowance now before I essentially can no longer contribute to it. With my pension, it's a bit more unclear, and if anyone's a financial advisor or knows about this, let me know in the comments below. I think I still can contribute to my pension. The reason being is because I contribute into it from my company, and that company is still a UK company. So if a UK company contributes to my UK pension, I think that's still okay. If anyone knows, let me know. It's a bit unclear. I probably should speak to my accountant on that anyway. My workplace pension, which is separate from my Vanguard portfolio, but still important, will be paused. So once again, all the money is just gonna carry on sitting there, but there won't be any contributions from myself or from my employer going into that whilst I'm in Australia. Instead, I've now got a superannuation, which is essentially Australia's form of pension. I will make a whole video on my move to Australia and how it's impacted my personal finances and things I've learned at another point though. To summarise, the money will continue to sit there and grow over time. With my Stocks and Shares ISA, I will contribute as much as I can until April 2023, and then after that, I can no longer contribute. With my pension, I think I can contribute because it's coming from my UK company, which I will continue to do so every single month if I'm able to. But in the meantime, I'll check with my accountant because of course, I don't want to be in breach of any laws or rules or anything. Thank you for watching this video. If you stuck around to the end, I really appreciate it. I got to say this at the start, but if you did enjoy it, drop a like on the video. I've got loads of free and also paid resources in the description, including my Stop Waiting, Start Investing ebook, which will take you through this exact approach of how I managed to build up my portfolio from nothing to 30K plus in Vanguard and 60K plus in total across the last 4 to 5 years. But yeah, really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next video.